Eggs are full of nutrients, some of which are serving up uses past the frying pan. A recent NDSU study focuses on how they could help remove harmful chemicals from our water. Lindsay Miller has the details of their findings.
This common breakfast food is making quite the splash. Eggs are the focus of a more than 2-year study by universities in North Dakota, Florida, Ohio, Iowa, and several national agencies. Researchers have found the protein in egg whites to be beneficial in clearing certain synthetic chemicals, commonly known as PFAS, from water.
For non-stick cookwares, like a water-resistant clothing, and firefighting foams.
They are sometimes called forever chemicals because they are very hard to get rid of in the environment and human body because they resist heat, water, and oil. The EPA says PFAS may cause health problems in people. NDSU professor Achinta Bezbora says blood absorbs the chemicals.
Found that blood albumin, that is the protein in blood, that is the main carrier for this PFAS.
But they realized using human blood to clear water was not a good solution. Students like Jimli Goswami took a closer look at a previous undergraduate study that focused on the primary protein in eggs called ovalbumin, which binds and removes PFAS from contaminated water.
To see how ovalbumin is actually acting at different conditions or different times.
Goswami says carbon is currently used in cleaning PFAS from water.
PFAS molecule, if you see here.
Shurza Mazumdar is another student on the project.
Taking it from one source and taking it to the other and kind of seeing how nature itself does the job.
Mazumdar says the egg white protein is more efficient in removing PFAS compared to carbon and other conventional cleaners.
Computationally and experimentally.
Cracking the code and the shell to nature's solutions. In Fargo, I'm Lindsay Miller, reporting for your News Leader.
The next goal in this project is to develop a product to treat the contaminated water. The group is also looking into other proteins with the same capabilities. Very interesting.